Well, hello! I'd like to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. So let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, got some fun topics coming up at the end, so stay tuned. So I think I can hear it in my voice right now. A little bit too much teaching this week, losing my voice, and perhaps two volleyball games this week that I was taking pictures, but I do get involved because those are my students out there, doggone it. So I was taking pictures and getting a little excited. So let's take a look at the pens. So from left to right, I have an Aero Unser Beste, which should be an upcoming review. I'm going to hopefully film it this weekend. ODE, a Portuguese reviewer, did a video on a similar pen to this Aero. Mine has kind of a plastic film over it, and he commented on it in his video, so I'll try to remember to put a link to it, either up in the corner or in my video description, if I remember when I get this edited together. I'm doing this kind of late. I'm doing it on a Thursday night after a volleyball game, so my mind isn't all there. It's kind of late, and I am a morning person, not a night person. Sheaffer Legacy 2. I will have a few comments on that in just a bit. A Sheaffer Snorkel Clipper vintage pen with a very fun filling mechanism. A Pelikan M800. A Pelikan 400NN. A Majestic, another upcoming review. Hopefully also to be filmed this weekend. Probably Sunday, because, I'll talk about Saturday in just a bit. I just disoriented my screen. And another hopefully upcoming review here, the Pond Senior. In fact, I've got several here that should be upcoming. I think I've got 4 that will be upcoming reviews. So those are the pens and inks that I will be using in this video. As always, I'll be using my Bomo art journal. And on that note, Bomo will return as a topic toward the end of this video. But for now, let's see how these pens write. So, my first pen for the week is an Aero Unser Beste. I may be mispronouncing it slightly. ODE had a video about Aero. He did not have one on this pen. He had one on the other one. A little unclear at the moment. And this is part of why I haven't filmed the video yet. I have Fountain Pens of the World, a book, which says it's a Dutch manufacturer, and I have other sources saying it's German, and I don't know what it is. So I'm hoping I can solve that mystery by the time I film the review. It is one of those slim black pens I like. If I don't get that video filmed soon, as you can see, I'm going to have to refill the pen, oh darn. Oops, too far. But very nice nib. I don't have a nib size for it. Oh, actually I do. I take that back. I just noticed it. I don't think I've noticed that before. Maybe I have, and I've made this exact comment before. But there's a B there on the nib, which would, by the piston turning knob, which would make sense when you look at this nib. That's a broad. The ink in it is Iroshizuku. Yu-yake, which actually reminds me a bit of Noodler's Apache Sunset, but with better drying time. And I'm about to use up my bottle of Noodler's Apache Sunset, so maybe that's just as well. This is another arrow. This was sold to me as an arrow mottled purple and black. It's just a thin layer of plastic over a black pen. ODE says that it is Objetos de Escrito, says it's a very fragile plastic. So I don't know. But I think he's a lot more knowledgeable about fountain pens in general than I am. Uh-oh. There we go. As you saw there, it is almost empty. So I don't know anything about this pen. One of the reasons I've held off, because I've owned it for several years, one of the reasons I've held off doing a review is I just can't find a model or anything. But I'm going to give her a whirl. So the ink in it is Callifolio Violet. It's possibly not my most inspiring and exciting pen, but it's a good, just daily writer type of pen. I'm pleased with it. My next pen is a Sheaffer Legacy 2. I did a first impression on this pen this week, and from the comments that I got, I did a little more research, and oh my god, this is an expensive set that I got. It came with this pen, it was in a gift box, there was some kind of an ink bottle, and I thought I had paid too much. Some of the websites were listing this exact same pen and pencil, or pen and ink bottle set, I guess, for 3 times what I paid. Like a shocking amount of money that just, yeah, if I had to pay that, I wouldn't have done it. So it turns out I got a very good deal from Venice Pens. So I don't like to endorse retailers, but I'm going to give them a shout out here. I got a very good bargain, and I'm very happy with it. It's a medium pen. This has the modern Sheaffer Skrip Bleu. You're going to be seeing some Sheaffer Skrip show up in a few pens in use here in a few weeks, because I had several viewers send me samples, and I had already, along with this pen, because I just felt it needed Sheaffer ink, I had already purchased a bottle of Bleu. So yeah, I kind of excited to try out some of their other offerings, because it's just not a brand I've paid much attention to. Oh, and nobody stopped me. I am forgetting my ink swatches. This is what happens when I do videos late at night. That's why I'm a morning person. If I film this at 5 in the morning, I'll be fine. But what is it, 9 o'clock at night? Not so much, because somebody wants to be in bed. We'll squish this one in here. So if you're in North Dakota looking for somebody who knows all the exciting hot spots at night, not me. I'm asleep. Only 43 years old and I'm already boring. Actually, I was boring in college, too. I just hadn't figured out that I was a morning person yet. Alrighty, so that's Sheaffer. And here's another Sheaffer. I did a review. No, it was a review. I lie. I did a review on this pen, which is a Sheaffer Snorkel Clipper. I identified it based on several context clues. Let's see if I remember to do the swatch. This has a fine nib on it. I had a few people disappointed in me for using this vintage ink, but I had a viewer who kind enough to send me a couple samples, and I wanted to try it. I don't know if it's faded due to age, I don't care, but it is kind of fun that I got to try a vintage ink. I am putting myself on an ink diet for a while because I don't want to be the proud owner of any inks that are vintage that I bought. So I'm going to try to work through some inks. I've got that Noodler's Apache Sunset, which with the next few first impressions I film should go empty. So if you see Noodler's Apache Sunset in a video, know that that's because I'm trying to get it to go empty. And then we get to my Pelikan M800, which is a very good pen. I will say it's not my most exciting pen, but it just feels right in my hand. And who can argue with the way it writes? Nice broad nib. And if I get bored with it, this nib unit just unscrews and I can buy a different nib size. The ink in it is Atramentis Blackberry. Which does remind me a bit of slightly oxidized blackberry juice. I grew up in Pennsylvania. Our entire yard around the house where I grew up was surrounded by blackberry briars, and so I am very well familiar with blackberries. You know, as a teenager, you're always hungry. You know, my family didn't keep snack food around the house, so at least in the summer, there were available snacks of the natural variety around the yard. This is a Pelikan 400NN, a vintage pen. I am going to have very soon a whole bunch of empty pens. I've been emptying out a few these past few days, and every one of them I've been picking it up as I go to film this and looking at the ink level and going, yipe! And you saw a couple of them here. This is another one. So one of these weeks here you're going to probably see a total refresh of the pens, but for the pens that I'm showing tonight I have to save for reviews, so they may end up having to be refilled depending on how Sunday goes. I misspelled blue, because in French it's Bleu. Myosotis, which I guess is called the forget-me-not in English. The color really doesn't make me think of the flower, but what do I know? Not a flower I grow either. I just have I'm not much for flowers. I've got a few around the house, but not much interest. Majestic. One thing that's been impressing me with this pen, because I write with it sporadically, is it seems to hold a good seal on the nib. See, I've been carrying it all week, but I haven't been writing with it. So that's definitely a comment that's going to come up in its review. The ink in this is Pelikan Dark Green. Which is a very nice Parker ink. I think I've said before, I don't care for their regular brilliant green, but this dark green is just right. Just a very nice color. And we have my Norwegian Pond Senior. Another one that, at least so far, has been holding a good seal. I will tell you what this pen is waiting on. I have been trying to get permission to use a vintage advertisement for Pond pens in my video review of this. I know some people will do the whole, well, it's what do they call it? Fair use. I am uncomfortable relying on fair use. Unless you totally transform the video in some way, it's kind of questionable. And even if you do it totally right, you can still get sued and you can still get in trouble or still get demonetized or get your video taken down. And a small channel like mine, YouTube isn't going to care. So I'm treading carefully. I may end up just filming the review and putting a link to the video advertisement. If you follow my community tab, I have linked to the video there. It's very interesting. It's a little piece of Norwegian culture where they're throwing fountain pens at a dartboard, and you're going, yipe! But it has to do with Norwegian culture. I have actually a Norwegian friend who I went to high school with who explained the cultural bit to me. So I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to do something I don't always show, but there's a reason I'm showing you. There's a method to my madness. This is my cell phone that I purchased, and you might notice some cracks there. And of course I have it out because I want to take my picture for the high-resolution writing samples. Let's get rid of this. My high-resolution writing samples and Instagram, because yes, I Instagram, also under Wasky Squirrel. But the reason I'm getting this out, I bought this last winter. It was February. And at the time, it kind of made sense. I thought, I'm going to be doing Science Olympiad all by myself. I need to be able to call for help if it becomes necessary. And so I finally bit the bullet and bought a cell phone. It turned out to be handy in a lot of ways. I kept a lot of resources on the cell phone, which was wonderful. I used to carry all kinds of stuff with me to State Science Olympiad, and instead I just had one cell phone. I didn't even bring a camera with me. I just brought one cell phone. But I bring this up because of the crack on the screen. If you saw the opening of the video, which you did, I was at the barber yesterday after school. I went down about 5, and it was still 94 degrees out. Yuck. But the barber was a little behind, so while she was finishing up the person before me, I sat there, and I didn't have much with me to do, but I had this with me. So I got it out, and I thought, well, I'll read something. But I started playing with the screen, and I noticed as I ran my finger across it, and I did this back in the summer, that crack, I can feel it through the screen protector. All these cracks. And I started investigating these 2 chips here. And I realized, the screen kind of extends beyond those. And I realized something. I don't think I actually broke the screen on this. I think I broke the screen protector, which is why I bought the screen protector. And I took it to a lady at work who has 3 boys, and because I figured she'd be an expert on broken screens, and she agrees with me. So I'm going to a cross-country meet in Mandan I'm going up there Friday after school and then stay the night and then go to the meet the next day. It makes sense for me because I can do some shopping. I'm going to hit a little bit of things, including getting a new screen protector Friday night, and then I'll hit the rest of it after the cross-country meet. And I think I'm going to do some footage for Pens on the Road, maybe, and throw that in next week. I might even be able to hit Bismarck and Mandan. They're North Dakota's twin cities. See, Minnesota's not the only state with twin cities. But anyway, so I'm excited about this, and I'm glad that I sat down and played with it because I would have felt really stupid taking this in for screen replacement, and the guy or lady, whoever repairs those things, says, yeah, you just need a new screen protector. Duh! So, I'm glad that happened that way. I don't know really why I'm sharing the story and embarrassing myself, but there it is. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Now, we'll find out when I peel this off. Maybe the screen will turn out to be broken and smashed up, but at least the lady I took it to at work with 3 boys doesn't think it is, so I have hopes, and she would be an expert. So, I'm looking at my screen, and it's doing weird things. Okay, don't worry about it. Anyway, so my week, 2 volleyball games. I'm yearbook advisor, so we had picture day, and we threw sports pictures in on top of picture day, so that was a fun day right after Labor Day. And but I'm back to normal. I've got my classes going. I have one other thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back to the B-roll for a second, but let me lean forward and grab it. I think I've shown you that this Bomo art journal is a little better than halfway filled, and I need something to continue. So I ordered more Bomo art journals. Now, they've changed their product line a bit in the years since I ordered last time, but I went on and ordered. So let's take a look. So I'm going to close this because I have taken my picture. This is... Can I get back further? There we go. This is the Bomo art journal I have used. This will be its replacement. I'm kind of loving the space theme. So, very excited about that. Almost want to write in it now, but I'll behave myself. So, now, same kind of paper. I was hoping I could get blank paper or dot grid or something, but I can't. But we'll live. Now, we'll set that one aside. I also ordered a plain journal, because if you remember, there was a journal kind of like this with flowers on it that I used to use, but it didn't have the fabric. It was just plain. So I thought I was ordering that when I got this bird journal, but I wasn't. This is a lot smaller. And I was very surprised, because I just ordered the 2 journals, to get another one. Same size. And another one, even smaller. And what? Another one, even smaller yet. So I contacted Bomo Art Journals, and they just got back to me today. And a little bit of a language barrier there, but basically they said, go ahead and keep them, and don't worry about it. And they said I probably was on the website twice, which is how I wound up with 2 of these guys, although I only paid for 1. And they're letting me keep these for free. So I don't know how they messed up. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this tiny little thing, but or this one. I when I finally get enough time to film my organization series, I'm going to talk about pocket notebooks. This is kind of an odd one for a pocket notebook, but whatever. And so I always like to... I expect good service from any company. I guess what really interests me is when they do mess up, because we all mess up. I've messed up as a teacher. You've messed up at your job. What do we do about it when we mess up? And this isn't a serious mess up. I mean, I'm pretty sure I just misunderstood the sizes. I think that was my fault that I got a smaller notebook. I just didn't understand. And, I guess you can't really be mad at them if you've got 3 extra notebooks. But anyway, they're very nice about it. They said keep them. Please don't ship them back to Hungary. I'm pretty sure they don't want to pay the extra shipping. So, yeah, if you have some ideas, especially what I can do with the baby here, let me know down in the comments. Aside from that, doing a little sports photography. I I did a football game not last week, 2 weeks ago. We played, somebody from way in the eastern end of the state. But we're so rural, and the way they divide up all the regions is kind of goofy. So, yeah, they are about even with us as far as distance south in the state. But the trouble in this state is there's a river down the middle of the state. So they have to come, just like we do, have to come all the way north to the interstate, truck over to our exit, and then truck back south almost to the South Dakota border. And so I was talking to their superintendent when I went to the Governor's Summit on Innovative Education this summer. And he said, yeah, they're going to be staying the night in a motel in Dickinson. So I just think that'll be us next year, because we have to go there to play football next year. Yeah. So that'll be fun. But anyway, it was a tight game. If we wouldn't have made some mistakes, we could have won. And I think it was a good eye-opener to our kids after a very successful season last year, that, yeah, you can't rest on your laurels. You've got to work hard. So I'm hoping the lesson was taken to heart, and the boys can do well. The volleyball girls are having a very good season this year, and that's exciting to see. And yeah, like I said, tomorrow I'm headed up to Mandan for the cross-country meet and to do some shopping in the city, because we don't have a lot of businesses here that I can buy some of this stuff from. So I'm excited about that. Not so excited about the 6-hour round trip if I don't take a scenic route. But I am excited about doing the trip and being up there. And I like the Mandan course for the cross country, so I think that'll be fun. So as far as topics, I guess the only real thing I was thinking of tonight... Okay, so the only topic I've really been thinking of tonight, other than the notebooks, and yay, shout out to a couple different companies. At one point, a few weeks ago, I was up to 30 pens inked. I've got it whittled down now to about 16. And of course, some of them you don't see on this show because I haven't filmed a video on them yet, or haven't published it yet. I was in the habit previously of, the pens would appear first in Pens in Use as I used them, and then I'd do a review after 3 full fills. But then I started doing that series of first impressions, so that fell by the wayside. So they can't appear here on this channel until they've actually had a first impression done. So 30 is the most I've ever had inked, I believe. So I'm just curious, how many do you typically keep inked? I have, I think I said 16 inked right now. One of them is the Lamy 2000, which usually sits in this pocket here. It's not right now, but that's because it's over there across the room, and I feel lazy because it's late at night. But how many do you typically keep inked? When I'm down around 8, like I want to be, then it's pretty easy for me to replace 1 or 2 a week, and keep a pretty enough fresh rotation going to keep it interesting. When I have a lot of reviews, because I've just started doing a lot of batch filming so I can get ahead on reviews, then it gets a little awkward because I have more pens than I can really use up. So let us know down in the comments, how many pens do you typically ink up during the week? Are you a minimalist? Are you a 1 or 2 pen person a week? Or do you go nuts and just, I don't even know how many are inked, they're just all over the place, and man, sometimes I pick them up and they're dry, and oh boy. Or are you kind of in the middle like me? So let us know. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, again, repeat the question. How many pens do you typically keep, how many pens do you typically keep inked during the week? I'm an 8 to 12 pen person, usually. I just kind of got a little carried away right toward the end of summer. So let us know down in the comments, and perhaps talk about why. And I'm sure school started back up where you are, so maybe you have some back to school thoughts. In any case, I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.